You may have noticed that I haven't really done a lot of Admirable animations. I've got over 100 animated atrocities, and this is Admirable animation number 41. Well, let's try to change that this December. For the entire month, I'll be doing one of these a week. That's about 5 of them. They won't be about Christmas things specifically or directly, and I've done that before, I don't want to do that again. It's just a chance to be nice, and because I want to give myself a challenge, we'll be topping it off with my first Admirable animation of a movie. That will probably spill over into January. So 5 Admirable animations in a row, topped up with a 6th in January on a movie. I've got my work cut out for me. So, let's start with Star vs. the Forces of Evil. I've actually wanted to talk about the show for quite some time. However, that proved to be a little bit difficult back at the beginning. Like most Disney shows, it premiered its pilot several months before the second episode, upon which it was instantly renewed for a second season. Not the best business strategy in my opinion, but it turned out for the best because the show ended up really good, and its first season is only 13 22-minute segments long. And for the first few episodes, it was trying to find its niche. The first episode had fast-paced comedy like it was trying to be SpongeBob.
Who are you?
I'm a magical princess from another dimension.
And some of the episodes followed suit. Some episodes try to do for the magical girl genre what Dave the Barbarian did for the Dungeons & Dragons-esque fantasy. And there still does seem to be influence from each of these shows. I mean, the villain is very reminiscent of Chuckles the Silly Piggy, but there is actually a lot of inspiration from various different shows. And considering the subject matter, I don't think the show could have appeared at a sooner time in animation history. It eventually ended up as not exactly a parody of slice-of-life magical girl anime, but sort of an Americanized take on it, the same way that Avatar is an Americanized take on the big epic journey type of anime. It uses the same tropes in the same way and keeps them relatively the same focus. A girl from a magical fantasy world comes to our world where she gets into all kinds of crazy misadventures, via misunderstandings through our human culture, or crazy things she faced in her own world, like her demon ex-boyfriend. And the magical world is just really used to give stories excuse for happening. The people behind the show are clearly versed in the genre. Like I said, back in the beginning, the show was trying to find out what it was. Some of the earlier episodes involved Star filling the school's football field with battle traps due to misunderstanding, her getting jealous of another foreign exchange student from Scandinavia, which the writers think is all one country, and needing to get a charger for her wand. It was all very episodic. Besides Star getting magical dimension-hopping scissors and turning her teacher into a troll, what happened in one episode didn't really carry into the next one. It didn't really reach its more realized form until the episode about Star going through her version of puberty, oddly enough. While it's no transformation from Teen Titans, it showed that the cartoon could be frightening, adventurous, deep, and heartwarming while keeping its comedic edge.
Weird. Do you mean typical Star weird or like destroy the school weird?
Destroy the school.
It also showed that it could get the crap past the radar in ways that Pickle and Peanut could only fantasize about. Soon after, they introduced a villain called Toffee, who really upped the stakes in the series. So, what is Star vs. the Forces of Evil now? Is it a comedy show, or is it a dramatic show? It's both. Some episodes like St. Olga's School for Wayward Princesses and this episode Mewnipendence Day are dramatic, but some episodes like the Banagic incident go for comedy and are absolutely hilarious. Some episodes like Freeze Day walk the line in between them and do it quite well. And sometimes the show can get really deep. Today's episode tackles the subject of historical inaccuracy. You know, like that episode of Avatar where Aang is forced to learn Fire Nation propaganda? Yeah, it's gonna be a bit like that, taken from the point of view of a firebender. Star has invited a bunch of her classmates and her teacher to celebrate a special holiday on Star's home planet dimension thing called Mewnipendence Day.
Mewnipendence Day. A long time ago arrived the first settlers of Muni. A modest people with noble pursuits, life, liberty, and corn. But the wicked monsters rose up and attacked the innocent Mewmans to re-steal Muni for themselves. So the queen used her magic to turn the simple peasants into a fearsome army. And then there was fighting. And the Mewmans won!
Marco initially thinks that something is up since Star skips past all the important parts. You know, the actual battles. Star says that they get to feast after they reenact the Great Monster Massacre, and that's why she invited her teacher over. Also, there is an eye that watches all.
Don't worry, it's just to remind the monsters that the royal family is always watching. It's not actually watching you, though. That would be weird.
Unbeknownst to Star, this is actually being watched by Ludo and Toffee, the villains. You see, throughout the entire series, these guys have been trying to steal Star's wand because it would make them insanely powerful and it would allow them to take over the world or something. Before this episode, it was pretty typical cartoon villain stuff. Brain wants to take over the world, Plankton wanted to steal a Krabby Patty formula, and these guys wanted the magic wand.
Watch Star wherever she goes. In the kitchen, bedroom, even in the bathroom.
Sir.
Maybe we don't keep the bathroom channel.
Did I mention this is a Disney show? One of Ludo's henchmen is actually pretty peeved at being replaced by a machine.
She doesn't even know we're watching her.
Sometimes your biggest threat is right under your nose.
By the way, as we'll see in this episode, Toffee is an amazing series villain. Meanwhile, Marco has been looking through the history book. It seems to be showing that the massacre was pretty much a massacre. Star, at first, doesn't really get it. Now, it's easy to make the silly character stupid, and that's a trap that many shows, even good ones, fall into. This show does not take that route. Star is actually quite intelligent. Instead, she has other flaws that get her into trouble, like being impulsive, reckless, or naive. I mean, she's in a different dimension than the one she was born for, so things are bound to be understandably different. Here, she's not being stupid. This is very clearly denial, which can be a hard thing to get around, especially in a context like this. I mean, Star is literally the princess of the people who have done this thing. Marco manages to get through Star, saying that it seems unfair. That's another thing. Unlike most other cartoons where one of the main characters has all the cool powers and their friends are reduced to sidekicks, Marco is usually on even footing. Sometimes Star is ahead and sometimes Marco is, depending on the situation. Helping the fact is that it's clearly established that Marco knows karate, and they go through both worlds. Marco has misunderstanding about fantasy, while Star has misunderstanding about reality. It's definitely refreshing to see something like this. It can get old having one of our two characters be hyper-competent while the other one is completely incompetent. Meanwhile, the monster Buff Frog starts complaining to all the other henchmen that Toffee had him replaced with an electronic eye. We also see that the monsters aren't so fond of the Great Monster Massacre. It's the perfect kind of story, something very small that changes the entire dynamic of the series before and after this point. And it's the perfect way of doing it. Before, the monsters were just doing evil things because, blah, evil monsters. Now they might be doing it to reclaim something stolen from them or their ancestors. It doesn't really indict our main characters either because of the historical inaccuracy that they've been taught. Toffee shows the monsters a mace that can make portals to deliver things directly to Ludo, and he tells them that that's what they'll be using to get the wand. And guess who volunteers? The guy who thinks he's losing his job. Star sees the battle through a new perspective, but being lost in thought, they go with the reenactment because why not? It definitely helps bring Star further into realization. Meanwhile, the actual monster runs through trying to reclaim Star's wand. Then we see that Toffee tricked him! The mace is an opening and unveiling its portal. So he tries to take it the old-fashioned way and gets punted. At first, Star thinks it's one of the kids, but soon it's revealed that he's not. Star is about to blast him like she usually does, but has a change of heart and lets him escape. When Toffee tries to use the mace, it works absolutely fine. Then Toffee convinces Ludo to throw him out completely. Yeah, he's that kind of villain. And through the season, he gets even more insidious, especially in that season finale, that I'm not going to spoil. Star is about to enjoy her feast of corn when she sees the monster crying in a tree, and she gives him some of it, in a heartwarming resolution.
Short steps, deep breath, everything is alright. Chin up, I can't step into the...
It can get old having one or two of your characters be hyper-continent